Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with another video. This is week three. I can't count. Week 3 of the Past Life Club September practice or challenge by Amethyst Ascension. Woo! This video is gonna be all over the place. I had lots of issues with filming it, both the original time and the later time. And I've lost the footage for this intro, so I have to refilm it, and it's a year later. Yes, so you might want to go back and check out the video or playlist I link for hashtag Past Lives Club September to check out my week 1 and week 2 videos. Also, the announcement video from Rochelle is down below, and you can just look through the hashtag to see other people's responses to it from last year. Feel free to join in at any point. So, week 1, we talked about the archetype. Now we're on to week 3, and we'll be going over the categories of faith, love, and trauma. And for the faith section, which is what we'll start with, I use the Universal Goddess Tarot. And of course, the Spirit Keeper's Tarot is what I use to pull out my archetype. As a reminder, let me put those aside. The category card I pulled for week 1 for faith was the Chancellor or Angel of Justice card. So I'm going to leave this up here. Hopefully still on screen. I've pulled these cards already from the deck, so we're just going to talk about them. But the Chancellor, Angel of Justice, is interesting. Want to pull truth, divine justice, fairness, divine law, balance, all that good stuff associated with the zodiac sign of Libra. But moving right along. Okay. I guess just generally that's what my faith was about in this particular life. Right? Fairness, balance, and the law of a higher power was important and a cornerstone in my belief system. The first question is, how important was my faith to me? Right, and I got the Judgment. Put these there. I'm actually going to move that up a little bit. Judgment, the Ace of Wands, and the Knight of Chalices for that question from the Universal Goddess Tarot. I don't know, something about this. I mean, well, it's a little romanticized, a little dramatic, this deck. But I thought it would be interesting to use a goddess deck when talking about the subject of faith. And I believe this is Caradwin, Isis, and Epona, though I want to double check that Knight of Chalices. But, so yeah, definitely very important to me. was my faith. Um, but also, I guess I used it as a way to judge myself, to feel out, I guess, am I on the right path for things? And in my life, it's that made me figure out my morals, to you know have something to look at myself and my spirit, my soul, and figure out who I am within. And I think the active principle that kept me going was my faith and its connection to love and respect of all beings. It is Epona, okay. Actually, I should have known. There's cat ears, so it's Bastet, not Isis. Because Isis is the priestess. I know this, and that is Caradwin. Something to direct me, as I said, and it did. Something I also feel, I guess, that warms me. Next question was, how did it make me feel? And I got, for that one, and I don't know if I'll have to move over or what. I know that Caradwin is slightly off. I got the priestess, who was definitely Isis this time, so as you can probably tell now. I got the King of Chalices and the King of Swords. So, again, my faith is very important to me, and how that makes me feel. Very spiritually connected, clearly, and like a conduit, maybe. One of like maybe occult knowledge, and feeling like I can master or have mastered or will master, having some mastery over, my mind and soul or spirit, emotions, even, and thoughts. It, I would say, lifted me up, but also grounded me. But yeah, it made me feel empowered overall. So isn't that awesome? How did I act because of my faith? I got the Hanged Man. Oh, I might move this in a bit. The Eight of Chalices. And the Hermit. Here. Let's see. We all fit. We do. Yay. Alright. And well, I guess I put myself in compromising positions. Very devout, maybe even very trusting, waiting, very willing to sacrifice myself, and maybe sacrificing time with loved ones, and maybe someone who is willing to leave things behind to seek out mysteries and knowledge, looking for more, which is very interesting. Last question. What did I use my faith for? Which I think is a very interesting question. And I got the Ace of Chalices here. The Ten of Wands. And Uh, the Tower. Yikes. So I kind of went off the rails. Maybe started out, you know, using it to ask for abundance, um, and uh, maybe it was dealing with any defeats I may have had, and those feelings, and also maybe depression. Um, and maybe I use it to cause death and destruction. So if we think back, just because you guys wasn't, it's been a while. Um, my identity card was the Hector, the Five of Swords, and you know, um, feeling quite, I guess, politically favored, or, but also very pushy as a person. I think a lot of people saw me as maybe out of sorts and someone of service, someone who is successful, and may or may be not fair, but also someone who does fight. I think, if I remember correctly, there was a bit of acting in violence, maybe potentially in service, and that's showing out here a bit. Um, so that makes sense. I stopped telling you which goddesses were here. Apologies for that. So I'll go over them very quickly. Last I said this was Isis, and the King of Chalices is Sarasvati. The King of Swords is Kotlike, an Aztec goddess. The Hanged Man is it Sif, or let me just make sure. No, it's Frigg. I messed them up. The Eight of Chalices is Calypso. The Hermit is Hecate. The Ace of Chalices, where did it go? Is Hambondia, and the Ten of Wands is Canis from Greek mythology. The Tower, I'll give you a second to guess, as the Morrigan. So those are my goddesses, and that's faith. Let's go over to love. Okay. I'm a little bit frustrated. It's my third time trying to record this without apparently pressing record. So in a bid to not have this wind up like week 2, I'm gonna pull cards as they go. If you'll remember, from week 1 for the category of love, which we're doing now, I got the Journeyman or Eight of Orbs, and I was a little confused, but I decided to wait until now to doing the love category for clarification, because I felt like this was kind of enough, one card, I think. So anywho, yeah, but the general thought in my head anyway was it's something I have to work hard at, that takes time, and maybe it's multiple people. I think even also the idea of waiting for love. Like, It's not a right now, it's a later thing. But anyway, so moving this up because it's not germane. I have already pulled the cards, but I haven't looked at them and I haven't made any notes, so this is going to be really off the cuff. The most important thing right now. So the first question was, how did I experience love in my childhood? And I'm using the Heart of Fairies Oracle and the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. So for that first question, I got Temptation and Three of Orbs. I can pull up the actual guidebook, but temptation, I think, implies off the beaten path, maybe not, the norm, and maybe that goes with the Masons because it's like working together, a group activity. So maybe not a traditional monogamous relationship like I was thinking with the journeyman before. There are 3 figures on here, but it also feels kind of parental, or what's the word I'm looking for? Because in the journeyman, they are tutors, gods actually, or deities that are overseeing her work. And that, obviously there's a similarity with the 2 on top and 1 on the bottom. But anyway, so that could be a thing. Temptation in your excitement, wise choices, safety, and this is a fairy oracle, so temptation goes with that. Temptation is pretty straightforward. It tells you to ask, like, what are you tempted by? And then the 3 of Orbs here, ex nihilo nihil fit. Nothing comes from nothing. Everything that presently exists does so because something that pre-existed it. The good Mason wouldn't want you to focus on the work's creator anyway. It would rather ask put all your attention to the wonder of the work. Honest trades. A brilliant idea is nothing without execution. Genius is nothing without dedication and tenacity. The spirit of the Mason is one who builds personal greatness brick by brick, step by step. Hard work is the method through which we overcome negative odds. Okay. Think of how you can build upon that which came before you to reach higher ground yourself. Advancement to come. Okay. So I think it's pretty straightforward. The next question was, how did I experience love in my adulthood? This should be interesting because we'll see. So the Juggler and the 9 of Orbs. Well, I mean, 9 orbs, that'd be a lot of juggling. Right? Yeah? Okay. So, kind of corny jokes aside, the Juggler be juggling the 9 orbs, or the Eminence. I'll be real with you guys. I'm not even sure I just picked up the right cards. I did kind of put them in order together, but this is why I'm trying to do this off camera. But once again, orbs. So practical, even though the Juggler may not necessarily be, kind of a jokester, a prankster, probably one of the tricksters, that's their official title. Yeah, the first one. The juggler, scattered attention, reassessment, priorities. Slow down, take a look at where you're going. You may be doing lots of things at the same time, and you may be very good at all of them, but just be sure you can see where you were going with these projects. Yeah, and then the eminence is let's see. Is a collective spirit. This is the spirit of what Shaska embodies, plus the 3 generations of women. Oh, okay, in the picture. And nature and harmony is esoteric principle. That 4 is the 3, that the holy trinity of Tria Prima is what begets the 4 elements and the 4 corners of the earthly plane. Everything is for the best, in the best of all possible worlds. The Lord of Game. When the eminence appears to you, helping spirits nudge you into an advantageous position so that you can receive reward or benefit. Or profit. The eminence is a prophecy that you will be gaining the resources that will help you achieve stability and security. Interesting. Plenty. One of harmony. All the heavens are in harmony with all of earthly nature, which is in harmony with all of human community, which is in nature with the underworld, and that is the reason you'll succeed. We're juggling. As long as I pay attention, I mean, in love, though, things are lining up well as an adult. That's what the eminence says to me. But the juggler says only if I'm paying attention to where I'm going and I'm not trying to do too many things. Let's see what else we get for the next questions. How did I express love to others? We got the boy, who is fun. Very much reminds me of like Peter Pan. Though that dude is kind of weird in the background. And the tower. That's not the greatest of what you want to see for love. But I expressed it in a fun way, which I think goes with the today, how I am today. But adventure, freedom, youth. Yeah. Find the boy inside you. He might be hiding. Boys are good at that. But coax him out into the light. Say hello. Let him fly. Go fly. Have adventures. And then, the tower is the tower. Material and spiritual colliding, though. How did I express love? I'm not getting the feeling that I was the greatest at it. It's not necessarily the tower, though. The boy is fun, but still a boy and, like, playing games, if you will. And God says no. You're constructing your work in the wrong direction, and it's time to stop, rethink what you're building, and revise. And a more spiritually based reading could be a warning sign. Dogma to be dismantled. The previously enjoyed security. Like, I wasn't a very secure lover. And I don't mean that sexually. I mean like in the giving of love or expressing of love. Made it very catastrophic, which, maybe it fits the Scorpio in me. Playful, yet sudden endings. Expressing love this way. Tearing down any obstacles, maybe. A better way of putting that makes sense. uh, very encompassing, and so come back to that. The last question, because this is taking too long, is what was my love life like? And I got the leaving. That's not great in this context, and the shining flame. Oh, okay. And you guys are not fully on camera, so let's move things up. Whew. What was my love life like? The leaving and the shining flame. I'll be honest, I don't like it. I'm not fully understanding. It's, kind of like the end of one situation or a relationship and the beginning of another. And the shining flame, embers of the salamander. Yeah, these are the knights. So this would be the Knight of Fire of Wands. Ooh, very quick and fairly in and out. It was fun times, but I don't seem to have stuck around a lot, and maybe I catastrophized, excuse me, and like ended things before they ended for me. I don't know. I let things fester that shouldn't have, and then so the relationships imploded. Maybe as an adult I did too much. I tried too many relationships and they didn't work out. Everything is really practical for the most part. We've got lots of orbs. Like all of the earth, very down to earth here. Then we have wands and seems like very tempted, wanting to work with others as a kid, and then as an adult, juggling too many. There's an idea that there's a possibility of these good relationships with several people, but maybe trying too many, and I express love to others very in a fun way, but also in a world ending. Very intensely catastrophizing, and what was my love life like? It was very fleeting. I was always leaving. So yeah, I mean, I guess the only other question I would have was like, who was I in love with? Or did I have like one big love? Like the main? Do you know what I mean? Okay, so let's move on to the next category. I'm gonna take pictures and come back. Trauma, because why not? Okay, so the next category was trauma, and I got, confusingly enough, the conservator. Yes. I think I was considering whether it was me being like a cheapskate, or concerned about money in some way, shape, or form, keeping money, that kind of thing. We're not sure, but we shall see. I'm once again using the Spirit Keeper's Tarot, and also this time, the Soul Trees oracle. So let's see how we go. The first question is, how was I affected by this event? Oh dear. Now I'm wishing. Hold up. There we go. Now I'm wishing I had asked more questions about this event. What was this? I don't understand this event. And I did not ask other questions about it. Let's see. Hoarding, holding back, being a miser. Those were all of my thoughts on that. So, I don't know. I didn't get clarification on that event. So let's see. Okay, so I got the tower. And resistance. Okay, well, definitely a traumatic event and life-changing. Resistance. I might have been resistant to the changes. Let's see. How did I deal with it? I pulled the Vagabond, 5 of Orbs. Kind of maybe separating myself, maybe looking deeper into the church or spirituality, help and assistance, wanting help and assistance. There we go. And break free, wanting to be separate, leaving society in some way, potentially. What did I learn from this? Oops. Sorry. The Demiurge. 4 of Scepters. Marriage. Wow. I need a foundation. I need to be the maiden and the knight. That's often what I think about that particular card. But I'm gonna look into these more in a second. I promise. Okay. And treat yourself. Well, I think celebrating your wins, celebrating my skills, my abilities. I'm gonna come back to that because I kind of vaguely remember the meaning for this card as a Demiurge in this particular deck, like beauty and protection, peace and more, I guess you could say. And treating yourself. The idea of events, celebrating your wins, your milestones in life, and your just life in general is kind of the cornerstone of my event planning business. So that's what I'm seeing here, and maybe I pulled that over into this life, but and focusing on giving it to others. So we'll see. The last question is, how does this affect me now? And I got the Ace of Chalices, Purifying, Holy Grail. Wow. And communication. Very interesting. I guess communication being important in relationships and finding oneself as well. I'm gonna look up some things. I feel like right at this point I have more questions because I don't know. Anyways, we're slightly off here. I don't know what the trauma is. I didn't look ahead at the questions. I assumed, I guess, that the questions here would dive deeper. This just seems very generally about money and resources and holding on to them. I don't know if it's me or something was withheld from me or what. This feels like a symptom and not the actual trauma, if that makes sense. But let me read up a little. Okay, I'm back after a year. But anyway, this is going up super late just because of life things. But, you know, since we're back in September, I thought it'd be appropriate to share this. So yeah, after looking back at things, reading some stuff, but also going back to the first cards I pulled for this challenge in week 1, I had pulled, if you don't remember, cards from my Heart of Fairies Oracle for the archetypes because they have different classes, different archetypes. And for trauma, I had the Trickster category, and the card I pulled was Prick Up Your Ears. So bringing that back out here, I'm just gonna leave it there for a second. But also, I wound up going and pulling another clarifying card from the Spirit Keeper's Tarot, and I got the Seeker, and this is, like I said, to clarify what the trauma was in my mind. And if you have been following along with this video and you have like suggestions or thoughts at this point or earlier, let me know. So my thought was kind of like, prick up your ears, paying attention, or having not paid attention. But I think it's more like of a noticing thing. I said with the conservator, it could be money issues or holding back, being a miser, or even egoism, because like focusing on the physical and what I can gain in my position rather than the spiritual. Maybe going after, following my ego, going after knowledge that maybe not was, might not necessarily needed to have. Like paired with the prick up your ears, it was just like I was listening maybe to something I shouldn't, and now I'm not trusting spirit. There's a lack of trust with the conservator, the Four of Herbs, whether that's in, you know, the reality of life or in a spiritual sense there. And then adding in the Seeker, I was thinking, right, maybe it's spirit in search of science. It might have, like I said, been looking for stuff that was not for me and found it and was confounded by it, and things might have tossed up my worldview, tore it apart, maybe insecure, and maybe lose my position potentially. maybe finding a reality in spirit that I was not expecting, or more than I bargained for, and potentially my trust in spirit was lost. Because, this is a past life, so maybe my trust in the spiritual leaders or of this life at that time, or my own leaders, in that I was the Hector, seemed to be leading us in the wrong way, and I didn't trust that, so I'm trying to hold on to what little I have left. So that can definitely be traumatizing, and clearly was, because with the first question coming back to these, how was I affected by this event? Now that I have a better idea of what the trauma was, the answers to these make more sense about what I was saying earlier. Things didn't, things don't fit right anymore, and I had a resistance to making it fit right, maybe a resistance to following those orders, that tearing apart of my worldview I mentioned, and I might have lost the position that I had, that respected position, due to my resistance. And how did I deal with it? Maybe self-isolation, and going to a different extreme from having money and things and position power to none, eschewing all of that, putting it aside. Maybe looking for my own path or connection with spirit, in search of faith, potentially here, breaking free from the status quo. Maybe I did some shadow work, though that probably wouldn't have been called at that time in that location. Confronting maybe how I supported those corrupt in power, whether it's in the faith of the people and the spiritual practices of the time, those spiritual leaders, or my own direct leaders, or even just all the leaders of the country. Trying to find a new home and a new identity. And then what did I learn from this? I need to celebrate my wins. Those small moments of clarity and stability and triumph, and looking for progress. I have that. And maybe even ready to reintegrate into society with a partner. Not having everything all on me. Finding some trusted people who are maybe not in power, but better trusted. And one I didn't get to, how does this affect me now? I mean, I honestly immediately want to say, this is something I'm still dealing with in this life. A loss of trust in the powers that be, major life changes, and then trying to find a new way to go about things, create new communities, and finding peace, clearly. For the Holy Grail, Ace of Chalices, purifying and communication, knowing that if I communicate my fears, maybe my mistrust, the things that seem off, I'll know peace more. Or there's a possibility of finding stability and groundedness and pouring into others. And now I know this thanks to having gone through this trauma. So that was week 3. We'll be back with week 4 with the last 3. I didn't actually do those when I first did this, because this spread really just like what? So and then clearly I've taken a long time. So look forward to those, and once again, thank you to Amethyst Ascension for creating this. It's something interesting to come back to even at a later time. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe. If you are new, hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is coming. Like I said, I'm going to be doing week 4. Though it's been many weeks, finally. And I can't wait to see more about these things. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Links in the description to everything I talked about, including Amethyst Ascension's announcement video and her response to this. Do check out the hashtag if you didn't before, to see what other people did with this practice or challenge, if you will. And it was something that really sparked my intuition and thought process. Practice I've never done before. Past life, studying and readings, definitely not. But anyway, guys, links to my social media so you can find me other places. Also a link to my Patreon where you can find this video without ads. I post all those videos to Patreon first so they get early access and ad free if that's something you're interested in. But I also offer lots of other things on other patron tiers, so go check it out and see what may interest you. Links to my Etsy shop and a 10% off discount code. And that is it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!